Now, in very strange news to me, this is very odd, and I feel like PlayStation in general has done a really good job in the lead up to PlayStation 5, just from, the generic buzz around the both companies and their presentations. But this news, and actually just, for just putting it out there for transparency, you actually told me about this news, and I wish I'd actually recorded my reaction. I was just like, what? What are you saying? So
I specifically said this news in a certain way to emphasize trying to get a reaction from you.
yeah, but it's true. Like, and if I remember correctly, you're like, the DualShock 4 is compatible with the PlayStation 5, but won't work with PlayStation 5 games. And then I was just like, wait, what? The PlayStation DualShock 4 works on the PlayStation 5, but won't work with its games. It's like, what are you talking about? This is so odd. Why have they done this? This is so odd.
At this point, like, why even just talk about it? Just kind of when, or at least before you, I think the way you talk about this together when you talk about any kind of backwards compatibility with those games. Like you package those pieces of info together so it makes sense. Fractured like this I think it just causes confusion. So their specific quote: PS5 games should take advantage of the new capabilities and features we're bringing to the platform, including features of DualSense wireless controller. Right? That is understandable if there's specific things, and I don't know if there's anything specific around like the haptic feedback and things like that they want to make sure is always, I guess, part of the experience. But to me, that's a nice to have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
I don't honestly. I'm cool with it. It's great if an old controller can work with a newer console, but it's generally never worked like that in the past. So it's almost like they've created bad news for themselves out of something that most people would expect not to even be the case.
It's so weird. And it also doesn't make sense to me because my understanding is, generally with PlayStation and my experience with it is like the controllers don't work from the generation to generation generally.
Yeah.
So it's always kind of like you've gone, okay, you've got to get a new one. And with Xbox, they've been pretty good about trying to do as much as possible to make things work across generations.
Well,
but
with this change, I mean, you can't use a 360 controller natively on an Xbox One. You have to get a converter for it. So it's really
okay.
only this new generation that's the case. And Nintendo's had a bit of a weird stuff. You could plug game controllers into the first version of the Wii, but the subsequent versions you couldn't. But generally speaking, Nintendo's the same. You can't use old controllers with previous ones. And I know you could use the Wiimote with the Wii U. The whole Wii U time period was really weird with that stuff. But you couldn't use a Super Nintendo controller on the 64. It wouldn't make sense. With this, it just like their approach to backwards compatibility is already so like they've not said enough
weird
about it. So weird. Just why even bother? The one cool thing is they've said that their officially licensed specialty controllers like steering wheels will work. To me, that's great because
and arcade sticks.
Yeah, because
that's a big one. That's a big one
because they're the things that you don't want to keep having to buy. Whereas a controller, you kind of want the new controller. As long as it's good. I like having the new controller console because hey, I'm playing this new console.
I totally agree. And I almost agree 100% with what you're saying. Because I've been debating a lot around buying an arcade stick. And I've been kind of putting it off because I'm like, is this going to work on the next gen? What does that mean? I'll just hold off. So I'm glad that part's confirmed. But I agree. They should have released this in the sense of not saying anything about DualShock 4 working on PlayStation 5. They should have never said that. And at some point, they have to talk about backwards compatibility and how it's going to work. And then at that time, they could have said, and by the way, just for PlayStation 4 games with backwards compatibility, you can actually use your DualShock 4 controller if you want, but it works with the PlayStation DualSense. Exactly. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And if
that makes so much more sense.
If the PS5 didn't have the touchpad in the center, this would make even more sense because, we're allowing you to use the PS4 because for games that require the touchpad, like Tearaway, things like that, was Tearaway... Anyway, I can't remember if that was Vita or PS4, but anyway, the games that require the touchpad, that would make sense, but it's there on the new controller. So it's it's super strange to me, and I think they need to really clarify. Like, we understand now because we've gone and read the articles, but the general consumer needs to kind of, it needs to be, I guess, communicated to them in a way that makes sense. Can you play your old PS4 games? Kinda, but here's what the deal is. Can I use my controller with those games? Yes. Like, to me that part is pretty simple, but they need to announce what they're doing backwards compatibility to make that picture clear. So
Yeah, that is the one question I have around the PS5. But I must admit, like, to me, I do just accept that it won't be able to play PlayStation 4 games. Now, it probably will be able to play PlayStation 4 games, but I don't know. I just don't look at it as having the same reliability with those kind of things as the Xbox has demonstrated historically. So yeah, it's going to be really juicy when they do talk about backwards compatibility, because I feel like if this is the kind of stuff that they're already doing, like backwards compatibility, it's going to be super dicey.